Later on in the evening, we have the Roxy Gunter Singers, a 40-member gospel choir. Also later in the evening, we have the Bouffants. The Bouffants in the 60s classic, and they had short skirts and big hair. It's going to be fun. But I need to tell you who these wonderful young people are who are opening the show tonight. And who promised not for some this is a group of people that all of us would probably be so happy and proud to see tonight. Elvis grew up in a pretty tough neighborhood in North Memphis. He had a lot of challenges over time. And then he inspired a lot of other people to reach for better things. These kids are from Kings Junior High School. Elvis' alma mater. It was a high school when Elvis was there for junior high now. Presley, one of the reasons, besides the fact that Mr. Taft is wonderful, one of the reasons we invited him here tonight is to see.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning. How are you?
Morning.
Rainy.
Everyone get enough sleep?
Nope.
Too much.
Sure.
Too much sleep.
Too much sleep.
Okay. Here's one of the post office units.
Listen.
How about you? Loving.
Loving you.
It's so warm up the room. Is it playing 24 hours?
I think so.
Oh, I missed the lines.
What?
I missed the lines.
What's the difference there?
Oh, that's a skinny nipper, isn't it? It's a skinny nipper. It's the meat on his bones.
And here, out here it's
Oh, that is cute. Little guitars and stuff. You got to do some shopping, girls. Yes. I'm getting shopping items. Newspapers.
when we come back, 50 cents gets us 4.
Yeah.
Oh, I got that on tape. Here's where I bought my stamp.
Well, Sandy's got to watch the court.
Watch the court. Sandy's got to watch the court. Hot stuff will too. Hot stuff, got to watch it.
Can we make it?
Wait.
There's the big tent where the floor collapsed during the ceremony.
We gotta get, tell Tim Timothy you guys to sign the wall.
Plaza, pretty trees out. Morning.
Morning.
Is that the 9?
I can't see.
Yeah, we better get
I
some
think
of
it
those.
is.
I like the way they're doing other things. It's kind of like it's close enough that you feel it's almost intimate, and yet they're protecting things. They're keeping them.
Well, it's nicely done, and you don't have to walk through mud and rough ground and stuff. Morning, everyone.
We had a box. Morning. We had a box.
Morning, Dick.
Good morning.
How we doing?
I got a great sunshine today.
Okay, Mary.
Remember what happened last night?
Eating here. How's that sound, Dave? What is that mess anyway, Dave? Huh? What's that, Chris?
Hi there. Good morning, America. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
People from Norway, trailers.
Watching this, so you did this. They did this one for you that day. But
Good morning. Good.
Okay, these were all pre-done.
I was there.
I got you. Okay, so that's a difference there.
And see what they did
Is the real
here.
thing here?
What they did here
That's
is they put the stamp on, and then they put it through some kind of a machine. This
Right.
this here is not a stamp. It's like
Right.
a stamp, but it went through a machine.
right. Okay.
To get it always in the same place and
Yeah. And you
not
can tell
always-
the stamp. Some of my stamps.
always a
are
good
like-
impression.
Might have been.
I was drunk and they put some on my arm.
I know.
There's some kind of a rotary press, I think.
You know, they put the stamp on first because
Yeah. It's got a touch. This has got a touch.
They
Yeah,
don't
that's got-
cancel it till the stamp's on.
I got you. Okay, so it's got a touch. I see.
But we brought other envelopes, Jailhouse Rocker envelopes and things, with stamps on them, postcards, newsletters. What else, Paul?
Oh, lots
name
of
it, we
things,
stamp
lots
it.
of things.
Somebody called me at 4 o'clock yesterday. You know,
We even
have you ever
stamped
seen-
some of our friends here.
Oh boy. Have you ever seen the postcard from the Presley Trauma Center? It's a postcard. If you don't haven't seen it, I'll go get you something.
Oh, we'd have known that. We could have had that stamp.
Well, but anyway, somebody.
We can still get some Culver City stamps on it. I'm going to take some down to Culver City, where MGM, where all the films were made.
Oh yeah.
All the films.
But anyway, somebody called me and said, why don't you run down to Graceland and get these first day cans, get some, then you can sell them next August. Well, I didn't do it. Well, that was about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. What was the line? What were the lines?
They were sold out by then.
Is that right?
Oh no, you could have got his stamp.
I could have gotten the stamp on
Got your own
every can.
cancellation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it said
In fact,
Graceland.
last night was great. The lines were really short. They had it organized.
Marler, you can still do it.
But it won't have January the 8th on it.
Yeah, would have.
Yeah,
They're
they
still
said,
going to
Would
do it.
have.
No, they're still going to do it for another month.
but will it have
January the
states?
8th on it?
Yeah, just hand stamp.
You just have to send them in, I
Does
believe.
anybody have one of those flyers with the 800 number?
You mean they'll stamp it with January the 8th on it?
Yes. For up to a month after a stamp is issued, they'll do that.
I can call you and give you the 800 number. Or I can
Well,
send you
anyway, what is your opinion of that if we have those Presley Trauma Center postcards and have a chance for January 8th?
Very good idea.
I think so. And I can still get that done. Do I take it down to price?
I'll have
That 800 number.
Okay, I'll talk to the 800 number. And then you have to send the postcards. I don't know where you send it.
Morning, Nancy.
Yeah. And I usually should be able to stand.
I was gonna, but I was gonna get the food out of my teeth.
Well, you have to have
You got a gold toothpick there?
No, I just have to, you know,
Yeah, then
hash browns in the tube.
Yeah, I know. The grits too.
What was that?
Say ho.
Hi, Paul.
No grits.
Anything you can do.
Get enough to eat?
oh, I sure have. It's very good.
But after you drink a little bit, it's not bad. To me, you can get back. Nice cafeteria here. Well, take a picture of all the sunshine out there. Yeah. Beautiful day, isn't it?
And so they said, that's why they charge you $3 or $5. Mom? That's the way it's been going your sister. That didn't work this time.
Yeah, I tried to say I'm a Christmas sister.
It didn't work with the car?
I did. You pass your sister. You know, I thought I could just take your driver's license and use it. I can get away with using your driver's license.
Yeah, they just go out.
Yeah, it was.
Dad is up in the building.
I'm Marler Stone, and I work for the Regional Medical Center in Memphis, or the MED. You'll hear it called the MED. My organization is called the MED Foundation, and its main purpose, actually a couple of purposes, is to gain awareness for the hospital all over the world, and the Elvis fans do a wonderful job of that, helping us, because the Presley Trauma Center is known all over the world thanks to the Elvis fans, and also to raise money. And the fans have done a phenomenal job over the last 2 years or so. In August of 1990, we put up the wall of honor. It had over 100 blank plaques on it. It is now full. It is now full. And actually, Jailhouse Rockers now has 2 plaques up. So it is now full, and that's a phenomenal record for the fans. The fans have done so much, and we've used that money to purchase equipment. You may have read about the laparoscope.
Well, we saw the stretcher.
You saw the stretcher, right? You saw the stretcher.
They were here in August.
Right,
We were
that's right. First group to see it.
Yeah.
But
Really the only group I think.
the laparoscope is a non-invasive technology, which means that rather than cutting a guy open to see if he's got internal injuries, they can run a little camera down inside the stomach and look around, and if there's no damage, internal damage, then they take it out and sew him up and he can go home. So, and this technology has been taken from here. This is one of the first, if not the first, trauma center to use this technology. Has gone to trauma seminars all over the country. So not only have the fans purchased this piece of equipment that helps the people of this area, but that technology is being taken to other places in the country. So it's really, really wonderful. Another piece of equipment, we had a tour the other day. It was a Pittsburgh group. We remember Elvis, Priscilla Presley. And they were over, and this little nurse was giving us a little tour. And she said, "Oh, let me go get you something that you guys have purchased for us. I'm going to show it to you." And it was and she brought it back out into the hallway. She was so proud of it. It was a blood warmer. And what happens is they put the patient on this plastic cushion, and if the blood will not coagulate, I guess is the word, or stop bleeding if the temperature is too low. So if it gets down to 80 or 85, then they put the patient on this blood warmer machine, and instead of taking 5 hours to warm the blood up to 97, it takes 45 minutes. So that it saves those people's lives. And this little girl was just a little nurse was almost in tears talking about how wonderful it was. And that's the kind of thing that we bought approaching $90,000 within the last year of equipment with Elvis money. So Elvis fans money. So it's phenomenal, and such a wonderful thing to honor the memory of Elvis Presley, and at the same time see evidence of saving lives, or helping save lives, or at least making life more comfortable.
We've seen you on 911.
Yeah, right, it was on 911. Yeah, that 911. Had a couple of them on there, I think. This is the third busiest trauma center in the country, maybe the second, which is a dubious distinction because that means people are running into each other and falling and stabbing each other and shooting each other. So, it's a horrible commentary, but it is a wonderful thing to have. And the tragedy doesn't know any pocketbook, and if anybody's hurt, doesn't matter whether they got money or not, they're brought here and they're taken care of, regardless of their ability to pay. And that goes for the whole hospital too. They are brought here and they're taken care of, and then, like all hospitals, we try to get reimbursed, but if it doesn't come, then we just eat the cost. But the trauma center is really phenomenal. Interesting here. It's laid out beautifully. It's a little hospital within a hospital. It's got everything you need. If right now there was a helicopter coming in, by the time the patient arrived, there would be 10, 12, 14 people in that shock trauma room waiting. And that's the difference. Actually, the concept of the trauma center came out of the MASH.
Really?
Yeah, right, yeah, right. Well, they discovered in Korea and I guess Vietnam that the soldiers were getting better care on the battlefield than people were at home. I mean, they would be taken to an emergency room and they would lie there for 30 minutes or an hour until the doctor got there. This concept, the doctor's here. Those doctors, every kind of doctor you'd want, any kind of surgeon, orthopedic surgeons, internal medicine men, radiologists, they're in the hospital right now caring for patients or doing
Like that 24 hours a day.
365 days a year. And when they get the call, it says air ambulance, 10 minutes, and those guys begin to mosey down to it. They're kind of nonchalant because they do this all the time. And anything you do all the time, you get better at it. So they kind of mosey on down. They talk to each other. I went up on the elevator with them one time to an air ambulance deal, and they were really nonchalant about it. But they do it all the time. And in order to survive a deal like that, I think you have to learn to remain calm. But by the time they get here, the air ambulance, a team goes up to the helicopter, and the helicopter people, it's called hospital wing, takes the patient off and gives them to the people here. And they run them down the ramp and down the elevator, and then into the shock trauma room. That's the first place you go. And then the doctors are waiting there, nurses, 12, 13, 14 people. So, and they save lives, a lot of lives. And,
What radius do you?
150 miles. So they'll, if there's a, say, it goes up through the boot hill of Missouri, up into Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, of course, West Tennessee, 150 miles. This whole institution, the Med, is really for this area unique because it's got the Elvis Presley Trauma Center is the only level 1 trauma center in this whole area. If you're in a bad accident or you have a fall or cut or something, if it's serious enough, this is where you're going to be brought because it's the only level 1 that has the facility to do it. The Med is also the only burn center within 150 miles. So I'll show it to you. I hope we can't go in because it opens, the official open is going to be February the 4th. And so it's not, is that right? Is that right? Okay. February the 4th is going to be the official open.
That's a good day.
Yeah, good day. We recently named that the Med Firefighters Regional Burn Center after the firefighters. Firefighters have been very good to the burn center. They've raised a lot of money for us, and they pledged quite a bit of money too. But that's another unique entity. And by the way, if all goes well, we're going to have a Elvis Presley VIP room in the burn center. It's going to be Elvis Presley fan VIP room. What my thought is this, that we would have each fan club send us a button or something kind of small. We couldn't have, gigantic things in there, but really make it an Elvis Presley fan room where, and this is still on the drawing board, but there has been a room that has been designated for that purpose. Because in the burn center, there is a thing called the hyperbaric chamber. Now this is like a submarine. It's a wonderful thing. And what happens is, if a person is burned, or if a person has a trauma, if a person comes to the trauma center and has surgery or is hurt very badly, has open wounds and is sewed up, you can go into this hyperbaric chamber, and they put them into a situation where it's almost 100% oxygen. You've heard of diving in a submarine. They have to bring it down slowly, and then when they come back, so they don't get the bends. And what it does, it concentrates this oxygen on the place of the wound, and the healing makes the healing much faster. Same with burns and with trauma. So that's going to be that is another tie with the trauma center, because the trauma patients will be in there also, as the burn patients and other surgery too. So, and that should attract a lot of folks from all over the South Pacific. Another really unique entity we've got here that we haven't even been able to figure out how to raise money for is the newborn center. In the newborn center it's the largest newborn center in the country in terms of numbers and geography. Unfortunately, we have a lot of premature babies, and a lot of that has to do with drug cases, drugs. And so, but we had this wonderful doctor back, well, still here, named Dr. Sheldon Coronas, and he was a private physician out in East Memphis back in 1968. And he saw that tiny babies were dying because they didn't get proper care. The mothers didn't take care of themselves prior to the birth. They didn't have the right facilities. So he came down here and started this facility. He's a tough guy, real tough. He gets what he wants because his goal is so cloaked with righteousness. He is doing good for tiny babies. And he has saved, oh my gosh, every year in February they have a reunion of the babies that have gone through here. And this place is full. They close the cafeteria down and bring all the babies back, or at least as many of them, they invite them all, and bring them back here. They've grown up. Some of them have grown up, and a lot of them are small and running around. And some of them wouldn't be here because they... and we have also the high-risk OB. If you have a high-risk obstetric situation, this is really the place to be. Because here again, the one thing, I'm talking a lot, is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
That's great. That's
Sorry.
Marler.
We have a tie with the University of Tennessee. They train all of their doctors here. And so what happens is the staff from the University of Tennessee and their resident doctors are trained here. Well, the staff trains the doctors here. So that gives us kind of a leg up on other hospitals because we're able to provide. And see, the staff is always, most of the time, in touch with the latest in medical technology because they're teaching it all the time. So they're teaching their students that, so as a consequence, you get superior care here because you're getting the latest possible technology. So also we have the only HIV/AIDS clinic. Some people don't like to talk about that, but it is a service that, you know, is needed and probably going to be more needed before it's all over. So this we have a lot to for want of a better term, to sell here. It would be a major loss if this facility were not here, because these entities just wouldn't be here. Because most of them are not major money makers, but they do save lives, and that's what the whole purpose of the place. It's kind of it makes people here feel like they're doing something very special. And the people in the burn unit and the trauma center, most of them have been here since the beginning. You'd think they'd get burned out, but they don't, because they feel like, kind of like the Marines. I'm a few good men. You know? Yeah, a few good men. Burn center, etc. Well, of course, yeah. Well, that's the reason we have to limit it to something kind of small. They're only about 250, 300 clubs all over the world. Did you know that? That's about right. 250, 275 individual clubs over the world. Were you aware of that? Clubs, right.
We think there are a lot more than that, but they're just not.
Is that right? Okay.
Registered.
Well, that's what Graceland says. That's what that's what they mail to. At least that's what they stay in contact with. Now maybe there are others.
There's like 250 registered. There's like
registered. Yeah.
Registered.
So we could handle that. It would have to be kind of limited to buttons, I think. But you know, it might be some other things too. Please.
Okay. How did the connection between Elvis and the Med, where did that come in?
Okay.
Because he went to Baptist Memorial, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's an excellent question. And one that it happens back in prior to 1983, probably began to happen back in 79, 80. And this is, as I understand it, probably the only person that you could get to that could give you a definitive answer would be Bill Morris, Elvis's friend, the mayor.
Excuse me, can we tell about Elvis's friend, the mayor?
Yeah, he's a good friend.
Oh, he's not a good friend?
Oh,
Well,
no,
yes.
sure he is, but he spoke at his birthday bash and said he was 57.
And he kept saying he's 57.
Oh, he did? Okay. Okay.
So we know he's 58.
He's 58, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, Bill Morris, and I know Bill Morris, and I wanted to ask him, it's hard to track him down and talk to him, but I wanted to ask him what really did happen. And you have to take this with the thought that I'm having to piece this together, but here's what I think happened. There was a group back in the early 80s called the Elvis Presley International Foundation. And as a matter of fact, the center plaque on the wall was presented to the Med from this organization. They had a goal, as I understand it, they were looking for something to name after Elvis Presley. And so they came to Bill Morris, I believe. And here again, this is where I'm not sure. Somewhere they got together with Bill Morris, and he said, "Well, we're building the trauma center, And so they said, well, let's name it after Elvis. And so there was somewhat of a controversy about that. There were, some people that didn't want that to happen, as is always the case. But Mayor Morris was instrumental in getting that done. The International Foundation has gone out of business. They're no longer in business, but we have used the center plaque. But that's, as I understand it, is the way that came about. The International Foundation leadership went to Mayor Morris and wanted to find a place to honor Elvis, and this is what he came up with. And of course, they went to him, I think, because he was a friend of Elvis's. So, does that answer? Now, you know what? We better have a second. We better have a second chapter, and because that's the second time this week somebody's asked me that, and I here again I'm kind of making it up, you understand? But because I don't have it straight from the horse's mouth, but that's as I understand it. That's the way I've reconstructed it from different people that have told me.
You're very fortunate. They close those trauma centers down all the time. Funding, that's what we're talking about, all funding. And
I
just
still have one mission being
one by one, I was going to say, but they're just closing them down all the time. So Memphis is very fortunate.
What are the people that come in here for the care and stuff? What are some of their comments and stuff? Knowing that, the Elvis fans donate all this money and stuff.
You mean the patients and the families? Well, of course, when a patient comes in here, the relatives and the patients are not really concerned about anything except getting...
I mean, later on, or is it just...
most of them, well, I had a personal experience. Actually, I've had a couple of them, and I've written about them in the newsletter. You get the newsletter? Does anybody else get the newsletter?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all get it. But I've written about a couple of things. One was the kid over in West Memphis that was driving real fast in his car, and they didn't think that kid was going to live, and he made it through. And then even more personal than that, I'm a choir director on the side, and a kid, well, this family, Thanksgiving of '91, were heading down to Mississippi to visit some relatives, and they were in two of these Bronco vans, and the mother and the father and the 9-year-old boy were in the front Bronco, and the boy 16 and the boy 14 were in the back one. And the father looked up, and evidently the 16-year-old who was driving went to sleep. And he went off the road and up, and bam, and it's a long story, but the mother and father ran back, and that Bronco was burning, and they pulled him out. But the air ambulance came. They sent 2 hospital wing helicopters down there and got them both and brought them back up. The end result is that the older boy ended up dying. The younger boy they saved, and he had to use the burn center also because he was burned on his neck. But the family is incredibly grateful, and couldn't say enough about the care. Because these people are a little different. They, first of all, if they're not good, they don't stay. Because they don't want to stay. They can't take the heat, I guess. And also, the others who are down there, who are so dedicated, don't want them to stay. They're not going to go and do everything they can. So, the personnel are wonderful. The doctors have the training and the expertise to save the lives. So the families are very grateful. I certainly have never heard any patients or families say anything negative about being associated with the Elvis. And the Elvis fans have just been wonderful at this place. Well, the ball is full.
Are they still adding to it, or?
Oh yeah, we got a lot of room. Y'all want to go on a tour?
Yeah. Here's something else.
Fantastic. Now this is mine. That's not mine. That's mine. That's mine. Oh my God. Mr. Mark. Hey, there's the falls. I can tell your handiwork.
And then on this, that's yours. This has a letter inside to Elvis.
Oh, well, I am just. Oh, that's fantastic. Shall I read it? For the camera.
Have you gotten yours yet?
To all members members and friends of Jailhouse Rockers of California, on the day Elvis Presley, the greatest entertainer of all time, a distinguished American and a notable humanitarian, was honored by the issuance of a commemorative postage stamp by the United States of America. The accompanying Elvis Presley First Day cover was prepared exclusively for the members of Jailhouse Rockers of California and dignitaries and celebrities in the Elvis realm. The cover was produced at no cost to the club through the sponsorship of the following individuals. Sponsors of the Jailhouse Rockers of California Elvis Presley First Day cover. You want to just get a shot of those names? I'm not sure I can read all of them. We wish to express special thanks to club member Pat Geiger, whose persistence and tenacity while leading a long, arduous, and ultimately successful campaign resulted in this prestigious honor for Elvis Presley. Oh, how wonderful. That is just, I will treasure that. That is phenomenal. Oh, that's great. Was Pat down here the other night? Oh, no.
She was in the hospital for something in December, and she got the flu.
Oh, what is it? And 500, I love it. Just dear Mr. Stone, the Jailhouse Rockers of California are pleased to be able to give you the enclosed check for $500 for the Elvis Presley Memorial Trauma Center. This check represents a charity raffle proceeds from several Southern California Elvis-related events. All of the Jailhouse Rockers of California club members wish you and all of the Med Foundation staff a great year of 1993. Jailhouse Rockers of California, Santa. Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay, now we have this. You can frame this. We have the stamp. We have the pencil around here.
Oh, I see. So I'll frame this like this. Frame the whole letter.
Yeah. That can be the first one to go up with the burn.
What about putting this in?
Yeah.
You can do that. But this is canceled. You know, just like this.
Yeah.
It's a canceled thing, and then we put it around.
Well, I am elated, and I appreciate that so very much, very, very much. The contribution and, of course, this too. I will treasure that for sure.
This.
That is phenomenal.
This too. Now I think. Can give us
Another plaque.
another plaque.
Yeah.
Because this would give us $3,500, so we still have the $500 towards the burn center.
Okay.
Unless we decide to put 3 on the burn center and.
Well, you guys, keeping up with these plaques is a wonderful problem. What I need to do is come up with some kind of software that I can keep up with it better. So I have to depend to a degree on some of the fan clubs until I can get a better way to do it. Normally what I've done is we have everything in the computer, the names and how much the people have given. So normally I've been putting it up just before August. So I would say, okay, end of July, let's run a printout of, or earlier than that, let's run a printout of all the contributions that have come in since last August 1 until July 30. Well, this time I decided to put them up in January. So now I'm putting them up twice a year because there were people that were coming in January and I wanted to see it. So I'm going to have to come up with, you may know some good software.
Yeah, maybe.
A good way to do it. Because another thing, it's cumulative. For example, this is 500, and if this is a first-time gift, next month if the A club sent in $100, that would count for it. Next month it was $10, that would count, so you'd have $610. Well, pretty soon I've got to figure out, and if it goes, you send in, if it goes beyond 1 year, then it's hard for me to tell exactly when a club reaches. I can get a pretty good idea because I can note the numbers of gifts that if they're smaller amounts, then I can go back and look.
Keep the years separate and then have a running total of what they total, but keep all the years so you know exactly what they've donated
in a year,
each year. But then at the bottom you have a total of everything they donated.
Well, we've got that. It's just I'm just so horrified that I'll let one slip by. But the fans are good about telling me when they're close.
They're not shy. Efficient about getting them put up immediately.
Well, I've tried as hard as I can.
Oh, we need to, when we do anything now, we need to put that of California.
Right, yeah, you told me that.
Because we've got Jailhouse, I think it's Jailhouse Rock Chronicle or something back to this.
Okay.
Do we've either got, we have $1,500. We can either put 3 on the burn 3 plaques on the burn wall. Or we can put another plaque on the trauma and 1 on the burn wall.
We have 2 trauma right now.
Okay,
have
let
two
me
on
make sure. Let me make sure.
We have 2 trauma
Okay,
burns.
okay. Listen, I think maybe you're inaccurate. I want to make sure you're right. I'm understanding.
We've given
Normally, see, if we're going to put up a wall in the burn center. Now those plaques are going to be 1,000.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were
The deal.
500.
No, the deal was.
Oh.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to make sure you understand. The deal was that if an Elvis club puts a wall on the trauma center, then you get a cut rate. So you can put for $500, you can put one on the burn center. See, that was the deal.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
we're going to keep the same price, but for fans of Elvis, if they want to expand over into the burn center, and the tie with the burn center is pretty strong because of the hyperbaric chamber, and also the trauma center offices are going to be down in the basement of the burn center. So there's a good tie in there. We were just trying to offer that other opportunity, but I wanted to make sure.
Oh, okay. Then we should just definitely, because we have $3,500 in there, so we have 2 on the trauma.
2 on the trauma.
So then we should put the 3rd one on
On the burn.
the burn,
Okay.
and then we have $500 towards the
Okay.
next.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me tell you. Maybe I can go back and we can talk on the phone. Let me look at our records and
Yeah.
just to double check it. But
No, I heard the 500 a long time ago. That's
well,
why-
okay.
That would probably be confused.
Yeah, it is confusing. As a matter of fact, it's confusing to me sometimes. I can't keep up with it. It was an idea that we're going to continue, but it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear. Yeah, and of course we're working, as I said, with the firefighters. They have pledged to raise us $500,000, and they were interested in having the name on the burn center. By the way, something real horrible happened fairly recently, but it happened at an appropriate time. On November the 5th, after some long negotiations, and we had a big press conference and named it the Med Firefighters Regional Burn Center. Mayor Morris was here at our board and had a big press conference, and we named it. About 2 weeks ago, and one of the reasons for the firemen are interested in it is, and they said this, some of our people may have to go there. Well, you've been here probably while these firefighters have been they're upstairs. One died, yeah. A guy named JD.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was a horrible time, but it was also fitting that the thing is called the Firefighters Burn Center. One of them is up there right now, and he's in very critical condition. One of them did die, but at any rate, and Mayor Morris was involved in that because he's still the mayor of Shelby. But we're expecting some good response from the firefighters. We have a number of things going on with the firefighters. One interesting story, I think. The lady saw the, matter of fact, before we go, I want to get you all postcards, and I've got some calendars that I think especially the ladies will be interested in having. We put out a calendar. we put out a firefighter calendar.
Oh, yes.
And so I'll give you one of those before you go. But these firefighters were selling calendars in one of the malls here. And this girl who worked for a coffee company, chock full of nuts out of New York, came through the mall and saw these guys selling the calendar. He said, if they could sell calendars like this, we can sell coffee. So she said, I'm going to make a coffee called Firefighters Coffee. Right. And of course, she came to me, and she went to Firefighters Association, the local union here, and said, we want you to get behind this firefighter coffee. They came to me, and I said, that's a great idea. I didn't really think she could do it. But lo and behold, 9 or 10 months later, she comes out with Kroger here in town. Big splash firefighter coffee. It's a 3-pound, it's a beautiful can. Matter of fact, when y'all go over there, I'll get you the things. It's a beautiful can of coffee. Well, we get 30 cents for every can that's sold. It's now in the market in Nashville. If they're going to open, they've probably already done it in Knoxville, and they're going to do it for burn centers all over the country. Wow. So yeah, so it's and we've
Can we buy some anywhere around here?
Kroger. It'll be available at Kroger, and it's I'm sure there's one down
Here. We don't have silver. No, but I mean, if we could buy some here.
But we've got several projects like that. We have a group called We Care, We Share, which is going to crank up this spring. These are all the firefighters in all of West Tennessee, Arkansas, and you know, all this whole area. And they're going to have a Fill the Boot Day where they go out and raise money for us. So anyway, it's looking real good. I know, but the fans, you know, have a tie, kind of a continuous tie to the Burn Center, but there is one there because of the connection, the hope for VIP room, and also the hyperbaric chamber where they're using it. So, but we do appreciate the fans very, very much. The president of the hospital came over here. We had the auction this year, and the president came. She, a wonderful black lady, very, very, very smart, Lucy Shaw. She came and Lucy. Every time we get a contribution of a certain amount, well, for example, you'll get a letter from Lucy on this, which shows that she really appreciates what the people do. But we do appreciate the fans and everything that you do. And you know, one of the most important things is when your newsletter comes out, for example, that talks about the trauma center, and that spurs other people on to do things, to talk about us in a positive way. You know, Wilma Wooten from up in North Carolina, the cookbook lady, she doesn't like me to talk about this. She said, Marler, don't do that. But I want to put something every time in our newsletter about that, about wills and trusts. You know, people have a need to give, and there are certain people out there that have the circumstances. Wilma, I can just see her saying, Marler, don't talk like that. Don't talk about wills and trusts. But you know, there are people who have some resources, who have no one to give it to, and what better place could there be to ultimately give it to the Presley Trauma Center? And you know, maybe this may happen long after I'm gone, but one day it's going to happen. One day it's going to happen, and a lot of it, yeah. What's that? Absolutely. Well, people need to give, and they have. Why should the state get all the money?
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, why should it? Why shouldn't an institution that's a non-profit organization that's saving lives, why shouldn't they benefit from it? So, okay, Wilma, there you go. Yeah. So, anyway, we're promoting, and that's what's going to happen. And what the fans' newsletter, like your Jailhouse Rockers newsletter does, is it doesn't say specifically those long-range projects like the Wills and Trust, but it continues to keep the name out there. And a trauma center like this is like anything else. If people don't know about it, there's no way they can give to it. So that's a wonderful thing. It's all snowballs. You know, it begins to snowball. Does anybody have a question or something? I've just rattled on. I've just really enjoyed it. Huh? Oh, we're going right now. There's pins. The pins, little 10-year pins. I do have some of those posters, you know, the Elvis posters. Y'all got one? Huh? Got the stamps, some stamps. Cups? No, I don't have any cups. I'm in the heart of the Presley Trauma Center, where it ought to be, I think, rather than up here. It has this is a cafeteria, even though it's more seen here. So we moved it down there, and of course the plaques span out from that centerpiece. I have been reluctant to, and maybe I've made this speech before, but reluctant to well, I've been tried to be sensitive about the patients that come down there and do nothing to interfere with their desire to see their relatives get well. So toward that end, I personally have tried not to create a circus, you know what I mean?
Right.
To make everything as appropriate as possible. Probably I have erred on the side of doing too little. And there are people down at the trauma center that want to do more, and we're going to do more as far as give Elvis more presence down there, more photographs and pictures of some kind to make it, you know, but very appropriate. And so we're moving in that direction. It just takes some time to figure out how to do it.
How to do it appropriately.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the patient.
They're concerned about all the
Certainly. That's right. to take it to extreme.
Going down, is it? It is.
Hound dog. That's dramatically that they give it to the car because they didn't think that was really hard enough to get stuff in.
Looks like it's big. Mine's in the car.
Always carry with me.
Sorry.
Oh, you've never been here, have you? First trip.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Day first trip. How many have been here before? Everybody else has been here at least.
No, not everybody.
You were down here.
First time too.
Oh, you weren't down. That's right.
Okay. Of course, this is the portrait that Pat Geiger wanted to get on the postage stamp. If you remember, you saw her pictures of her went all over the country, USA Today, holding this portrait. And of course, I would have been delighted to have it on there because it would have had wonderful control.
Maybe the next one.
Maybe the next one. Thank you.
There you go.
Hey, I hadn't thought of that. Now that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, there's hope for the name.
Another stamp.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of that. That's a good idea. But this was a portrait by John Robinette, and yeah, it's a nice happy portrait. And, yeah, they're both good. Of course, I was looking at it from kind of a self-serving standpoint, but anyway, that didn't work. But,
You know, they said last night when we were talking to the people that were working in the tent, postal people, and I asked them if they'd ever seen anything. They said no.
never seen one.
Anything like this.
Is that right?
On the stamps.
I bet.
and everything.
Well, they said in the
No,
paper
they've
that
never-
300,000 of them have been sold.
They said 400 this morning.
400,000 just at Graceland.
Just at Graceland?
Just at Graceland.
They were just as excited as we were about it, and you know, their wrists. I think that a lot of them are going to be in here.
Is that what called it?
They said that they've never sold as many stamps, and they don't believe that they ever will.
Yeah, sell it.
And some of the workers came from like 115. The one guy, 100 miles away. One gal was 100.
Just to volunteer to do it, or just?
No, I don't know.
Well, they had to go. I'm sure they got paid.
But they had to bring them in from all over
Yeah.
to help out.
Help out.
But it was.
Okay, let me just kind of pretend that everybody. Yeah, let's move back over that way.
Yes. They come first. Yeah, by all means, this is great.
You better not. If there's an accident or a gunshot wound or a fall, what have you, within 150 miles, then this place right here, MedCom, is called, and MedCom doesn't distribute or tell ambulances where to go, but they keep in contact with them so they know where all air and ground ambulances are going to go. If the vital signs are bad enough, then they're automatically brought here, either by air. If it's over, I don't know how many miles away, then the air ambulance goes out. It doesn't mean, how you doing? Then the air ambulance goes out. If vital signs are not as much, they could be taken to another hospital. But then they're brought here, and as I said earlier, they'll call out, well, air ambulance arriving in 10 minutes, and then the people begin to gather here. And if they're brought in here on the ground, and then the helicopter. Maybe we could go up to that helicopter pad. Yeah. And then so they're brought. See, I don't know what his problem is, but he didn't come here. He went around to the emergency room, and he might have had, say, a heart attack or something like that. So heart attack would go around that way. But because the trauma, see, is a penetrating injury or some kind of injury to the body. those are the pins there. I think we'll be able to get some of those if you're interested in doing that. That's the only thing they got left.
That's all.
Can we have these? I have this spring.
It is so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the frame. You told me to put a separate piece on it.
This is another shock trauma room here. Small hospital. Hey, how you doing?
It's fine.
It is because, see, you've got the shock trauma room is like an emergency room. So that's where they're brought initially. The patient is brought initially, and then so they're stabilized, and they can even operate in that room if they have to. But then they can take them around the corner, and we'll just step in there to the operating room. They have 2 or 3 operating rooms back there. And so they can operate, but you can do your lab work right here. You've got X-ray, radiology, you can take them right down there. There's an intensive care room, there's a recovery room.
Mary Jane, Chris.
Say in a place like Iowa, where they don't have much trauma, they come here and train to just get the experience. Because these people have the experience because they see it all the time. I mean, they're seeing, here in this place, seeing 3,500 trauma cases every year. That translates into something like 300 a month or 10 a day, something like, if my math is correct. So it's an incredibly busy place.
Do they train military doctors?
That's a good question. All the doctors they train are at the University of Tennessee, so they're I think they're all just UT. But it is a very busy place. You know, that, as I say, that's a dubious distinction because that means people are hurting themselves. A lot of it needlessly. But it is here, and it saves lives. So let's come on around here. Matter of fact, there's one Jailhouse Rockers. Matter of fact, I think you guys are. Yeah, here it is. Here's the other one. And this was the original plaque that was put up. And this, you see, this is the International Memorial Elvis Presley International Memorial Foundation, which is no longer in business. But it's a beautiful.
I didn't know it was. I thought it was just a hospital.
No, it was outside the hospital. Actually, it was a group of people that got together to try to raise money and for the hospital. And it eventually something happened. It just didn't work anymore. But they gave them a beautiful plaque, which made, as a matter of fact,
gorgeous.
Yeah, it is. From this, of course, we're going to use the same material at the burn center and in the newborn center, all of it. So,
I need to wear this.
$1,000. See, we started these. Oh my gosh. Holding that the wrong way. Yeah, we started. Of course, there was no way for the Jailhouse Rockers to be a founding donor because you weren't in the business at the time. But these are the founding donors. You'll notice there are no dates on these plaques. And here again, they're listed again here. And in August of, excuse me, I said 90. It's 1989. Well, I've been giving out bum information. Opening of the in 1983 until August of 1989. Well, I'm a year later. So it's been a little longer than I thought. But these are the founding donors. And for example, Wilma Wooten, who has given now in excess of $60,000 to the hospital, got one plaque. There she is. Got one plaque representing about that time $55,000 or $50,000. So that one plaque represents all of that. But then all of these, see, were blank. All of these were blank, and all on the other side, here, across here, were blank. So, and now they're full. And as you can see, I've got 2 more, one on each side to put up also. So it is now full, and and most of them Elvis fans.
Yeah, what are the large plaques for now that are still?
Okay, because we used them for some of these things. We recognize Bill tonight the other day. He now has hit
$100,000.
He has hit $100,000 to charity, not to this institution, but to charity. And LeBonner went in. We went in with LeBonner just to honor him, because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, $100,000. Now it doesn't mean that you got to raise $100,000 to get one of these plaques, but it's just certain recognition things that frankly, we've never come up with an amount that, and probably we should, because that would give people something to shoot for. But
he deserves that.
Well, I think he does. He has worked so hard to make that deal work.
Sure
As a matter of fact, it's $104,000.
Yes.
$104,000.
And knowing him today, it may be worth more.
Family, and they had a lot of friends up there. But it was interesting to see how the families got to know each other too.
Yeah.
And they would come in the morning and say, well, how is so and so? And they bond exactly. And it was it's a horrible thing, but an awful lot of warm feelings came out of those relationships.
You know, one thing that really helped us, they had a gal, like, she was volunteering, but right after he went into, my son went into the hospital, she came up and, would help us with anything and organize, and she sat with us for a long time.
Is he okay now?
99% okay.
Wonderful.
We watched him bicycle race.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's back to racing.
Oh, that's one thing.
They told him 6 months to get well, and he did it in 2.
What happened?
He was bicycle racing in the velodrome, and some unexperienced rider hit him. His back tire, and he came off and went into a pole. He had his helmet. He was unconscious.
He would have been killed had he not had the helmet.
He would have died if he wasn't in such good physical shape. So he's back to racing.
And we're going to do about
10 minutes, we're going to have to get out to our cars so they don't take it down.
Yeah, okay.
This here, too, this is kind of rough, because my dad had his car accident, and they helicoptered it. He had it in Carson City, Nevada.
It's kind of nippy out here. We can walk on out if you like. If it comes in, just hit the deck. No, I'm joking.
I'm not going to.
You'll know if it's coming in, won't you? How would you like to land on that thing? I wouldn't be interested in that. Oh, this is the burn center too. Right, the new burn center right there. That big white building right there. Actually, the first couple of floors is the burn center. And you see the little thing there, looked like a top of a greenhouse.
Yeah.
I was talking about the hyperbaric chamber. That leads into the underneath that is the hyperbaric chamber, that 100% oxygen, fast healing. But that's going to be the new burn center right there. The first couple of floors there.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be a state-of-the-art building.
What's on the upper floors?
They're shelled in.
Hyperbaric center, the one of the pure oxygen with the
All brand new. It opens February the 4th, or at least the dedication. The helicopter normally comes, you can see it coming from a distance, swings around and comes in and lands like this. And then when it takes off back out.
Wheels and patients now.
Yeah, then the personnel here go out, the helicopter lands, and the wheels, this propeller's still turning, and they go out and get it and bring on a stretcher all the way down. Probably one of the Elvis Presley bands donated a stretcher, and then down the elevator. I wouldn't want to be in that helicopter, but those people love it. They love to fly those races. And so it's a good thing somebody does. First of all, it's a good thing somebody likes to do trauma.
Oh, I know. That's fun.
I wouldn't want to do that.
I
I've always wanted to, but I don't think I could anymore.
Yeah.
Be the one for that.
I was talking to a psychologist yesterday, and we were talking about the different people that work in burn and trauma, and he was saying that a guy that likes to work in burn doesn't necessarily like to work in trauma. It's a different,
that's
different
true.
mindset.
That's true.
Yeah, there's Baptist Hospital.
Baptist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and right over there is LeBonner Children's Medical Center. You can see that building right over there where the crane is. They're building stuff over there now. That's LeBonner.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
We've also donated.
Yeah, that is Baptist Memorial. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, the Chamber of Commerce has now begun to tout the virtues of this being a medical center. They've got billboards out saying the healthcare center of the South or something like this. But, yeah, I bet you when you're coming on that helicopter, you see that little cross
It'll be like a little postage stamp sitting out there.
Or they could, you know what they could.
Let's see Miss August there.
Good job. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody has to do it. I mean, a girl for August.
Didn't I tell you that this calendar has been a revelation for me as far as women are concerned?
Yeah, you were saying it.
I hadn't gotten a word in edgewise since reading the calendar.
They no longer listen to what you have to say after you give the
Not a
calendar.
thing. I've totally lost control.
But you know, just an idea. Elvis Presley's birthday. Or no. Elvis Presley. No, we don't want to put that down when he passed away.
No, not
January 8th, huh?
I'll just put Elvis Presley 1935, 1977 or something.
And then on January,
Hey, yeah.
Elvis Presley.
Yeah. That might work.
That's great. We were talking to some people at the fire department where we live, and I don't know why they don't do this for a fundraiser.
Yeah.
A lot of people would buy it.
What did you say, the King's birthday?
No, he didn't like that.
He didn't
No,
like
he
that.
didn't like being called.
When they got the president's birthday.
As they said, but in the Cologne commercial, there was 42 presidents and only one king.
That's what I said. Only one.
But Elvis knew there was really only one king, and he wasn't it. So that's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's why I don't like calling it.
There is only one
But
king.
he's still the king of Hill.
But he's the king of rock and roll.
Yeah, he's the king of rock and roll, but
You got to put rock and roll in there.
yeah, you've got to put the king of rock and roll.
But that's
Well, I bet you could get
amazing. The people that are non-Elvis fans, that's the one thing they say.
Is that the postcard you were thinking of stamping a lot and getting to use? I have your number. I can give it to you this afternoon. I have it at we have it at the room.
Well, I'm going to be over here for a little while this afternoon, so maybe give me a call.
We're going to be out till about 3 or so.
And you can give me a call.
We're going to sell some at the convention. Yeah.
I'll give you my home phone. You just give me a call at home. You got a chance.
How much of this goes to the council? Do you have a card?
30 cents on a calendar, you said?
Say it again.
How much goes back to you from selling the calendars when you sell
Well,
them?
of course, we print it and we bear all the expenses of it, and so whatever we can make. Sometimes we make a little bit. Last year we made about $10,000. This year we're going to break even or maybe even lose a little.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it gives us such awareness. For example, we made a television spot, a public service announcement. We had all the guys. As a matter of fact, if you're watching TV, I'm sure you're not while you're here. But they have been running the heck out of that TV.
Oh, really?
And,
So they had all the guys on
They had the guy on there holding up saying January, February, March, so we got tremendous exposure from that commercial. So and the coffee is a spinoff from this. Our association with the Firefighters Association, the union, is a spinoff of this. So this is valuable beyond its money making.
Where do you
What
get
we
the
need is
coffee?
Kroger.
There was something you were saying that you got 30
Kroger,
cents on.
K-R-O-G.
You got a store?
Grocery or
Kroger, yeah, Kroger grocery.
Because what we should do is purchase some, and I tell you, they'll sell at the convention. You purchase them just for the heck of it, and people will buy them.
It originated here, and for the Med Burn Center, Firefighter Regional Burn Center, first. It was the first coffee sold. Now it's up in Nashville and Knoxville, so it's spreading.
Marler.
That's homework.
Promotional item. I can tell you places, or I can order the stuff and do all that stuff.
We'll talk.
I'm sorry. The pilot just got notice that his father died. His father died. So he said, so I'll be here. I'll be back at 9:30. 9:30.
Well, so we're probably getting some shopping. We haven't even shopped.
Oh yes, I did all that yesterday. I'm gonna grab it.
Hospitals elsewhere. There's, of course, Baptist East, which is an affiliate of this, and Baptist DeSoto County Baptist Hospital, and then you've got Methodist Hospital, Germantown Methodist Hospital, and you got St. Francis out there, out east, and because that's where the flow of the paying patients are going, so they put branches out there. We're down in the area where it's basically non-paying. Inner city, right.
Yeah.
So, but that's one of the nice things about this hospital. Because we take Medicaid payments, naturally, and then also we take the third, when a person comes in here, if he has insurance, we use the insurance too. And because...
That's Mr. Open your book. That's Mr. Somebody.
Boy, we rattled her cage.
October.
See, was he able to get Tony to pose in his firefighter thing?
Is he a firefighter? No. Well,
No, he's just a hunk, right? He's just a hunk of junk.
Good job. Oh, that's good.
Well, listen, thank you so much. I won't even shake your hand. Good to see you.
My pleasure.
Really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks a
Nice
lot.
to meet you. Nice to meet you, I think.
Yeah, I met you last
Nice to meet you. No, I'm joking. I think it's one of the greatest things in the world.
I'm just kidding. I just always
No.
go off on
I think
the
it's
same.
wonderful. I think men like women and women like men. I think it's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you.
You gotta get Tony to produce
Thank you
for
for
tow truck drivers.
Hey, I'll be the greaser down.
Call it the hunk of junkus.
Hunk of junket.
He's out there asking.
I'll call you tonight. They followed me.
I got a map. I followed
I didn't know the name of the street.
Are you going down there now?
Yeah, I'm going